Hi everyone, welcome to the Advancement Centre and welcome to the world of magic and miracles. Each time we speak, we endeavour to bring ourselves to a place that's well above where we've been most of the week. And today is no different. We first stepped into a place of utter harmony and perfection last week, where we were way above everything we've ever worked on, way above even the world of magic and miracles. And today we've maintained that position so that the field between us and the magic can actually grow and start to become more and more active. As we settle in to this unique position, the flow starts to take over by itself. And recently, I've been told that the tide has changed, and we're all working together throughout the universe and throughout the world, and going with a flow that maintains everything for us in every aspect of every world. So as we listen to ourselves, we're actually speaking to the whole of the universe and to everyone in it. What is happening right now is new because of that change of tide, because of the general trend towards perfection in everything and everyone. And so our nature will gradually change. All the things that we've had in place to make sure that we're okay can now disappear. We don't have to push against anything because it's all going in the same direction. And so all the functions that are within each person that attempt to determine their direction, their command of their own life, can be relaxed. You'll find that there's no opposition to anything because it's all going in the same direction. You don't have to get strong. You don't have to oppose. And you don't have to look for anything that's wrong. As you endeavour to move forward, you will find that it's totally new, once again. And it's so much different going with the flow and with the tide than it is going against it. It's a little bit more difficult to steer, and you'll find you get pushed along and off. You'll feel like it's off course occasionally. But if you just go with it, you'll be dragged back into your destiny, into that perfect place that you've always known is available for you. Not just in this world, but in every world. And so as you maintain that elevation, you will also be able to watch the scenery. You won't have to work really hard to maintain the scenery that you need. You'll be able to watch it all as you travel through all sorts of things that are totally new and way beyond anything you can even imagine to put in perspective right now. So as we move into this new era, I would call it, you start to think, wow, I've made it. And you feel like you've made it. But in fact, it's just the start of the whole trip of the universe. Just the start of the experience of the unknown and everything it has to offer. It's a new way of being again. And we've had so many changes recently. We've always wondered, so when are we going to get there? Well, the answer is we're there. And now it's a matter of enjoying it. Getting used to the fact that life is easy, that the world is a nice place, that everything in it is a mystery, and everything surrounding it is a mystery. And it's only a mystery not to confound us. It's only a mystery to excite us and to encourage us to go further and seek more experiences, not experience. The adventure continues, but it's a new adventure, and it's grown so quickly and come out of nowhere so quickly. Your head can't get around it. It won't even have a chance. So you can just smile at yourself and say, well, I've got no idea where I'm going next, but that feels good. And sure enough, that little signal of it feels good is the signal that you follow all the time. You don't have to follow, well, that doesn't feel so good. You only follow, well, that feels good. And you never have to worry about anything because you're going with the flow and with the tide that's taking you into probably the greatest part of your destiny that you've ever attempted to approach. Some of us feel the lightness, feel the vibration to the extent at times you think your body's shivering. Other times it feels like it's gone into a panic. But as soon as you realize you don't have to focus on that, it spreads out and it goes around you and it starts to do things in the universe that make you feel calm. That sense of vibration and being able to extend it to beyond anything that we've ever even seen on the computers is something that you get used to. You feel much more comfortable out there beyond infinity. Much more comfortable than if you try to sit in a chair and say, this is me. When you go beyond everything that's ever been calculated, you're starting to feel at home. And you're sitting in the chair at the same time. So the old saying of, well, where do we go from here is a little bit useless because there's no direction, there's no explanation, and there's nothing to compare with. All that you experience is new, breathtaking, and brilliant. And because of that, you will start to shine with that special brightness that you see in some people on odd occasions. And it's usually caused by everything going in the right direction for them. How do you think we'll all look in another month with everything going in the right direction for us? We'll all have a glow that'll be recognized everywhere, that can be seen from outer space, that can be felt from the other side of the universe. And the more we achieve, the less we have to do. Because that's our nature. The more we expand, the more our field touches everything in the universe and touches every other person and object. And that field and the interaction with all those objects that have their own field generates a power that's going to provide everything we ever want and more for everyone. There's been many, many prophets talk of this time, but they've never been able to describe what you're experiencing, and they never will. They can only say it's beyond anything you can imagine. And so the need to describe everything and capture special times and events will change. It won't disappear. It'll be much more exotic. The things you will look for are the things that you'll probably never see again, not the things that you can dial up every day. So even when you look at a photograph, you'll see something in it different every time. You look at a person's face and you see the being, and you see the glow, and you allow yourself to mingle with that energy and see how beautiful it is and what it creates for you and for them. So our arts and our skills have not even been touched yet. We're about to be able to turn on all those special energies that are attached to our being and actually see them do physical things in the world, not through thought or mind powers, but through another channel that consists of trillions of inputs and outputs that you have no problem at all operating as long as you don't put it through your brain. It's always worked and it always will work. And the suppression that's been carried on for many centuries has no power anymore. It will try to appear, but if you're way outside of its scope, it can't touch you. It can only be like a little pinprick. So the more we advance by using simplicity to the nth degree, the less we will have to do with the tiny interactions that used to feel like they were disasters. The sense of disaster will disappear out of our lives altogether. And everyone will know if there is such a thing as a disaster, all those involved were ready for it anyway. It was their time to either leave or have a different experience. But in general, there will be no disasters that affect the world. They'll look like they affect the world, but there are many things that are going to happen in the background that lift people out of danger, that protect them, that make life totally different, to the degree where they don't have to depend, or a person doesn't have to depend on any technology at all. The greatness of each one of you will now start to show. And all the restrictions that you had on yourself, you'll now see that you can just let go. And you'll step out into the universal world and start to show what would be called abnormal in the past. Physical abilities, artistic abilities, and just abilities to make people feel okay. You watch the trend in the medical field and see how people are just shaking their heads and saying, I don't want to do that anymore. I can look after myself. I don't need to pay somebody an enormous amount of money to insure myself and put my future in their hands. Particularly when I have the power to put my future in my own hands and make sure that everything works perfectly in and around me all the time without even considering discomfort. Because that's not the field to follow. The field to follow is perfection, ease, great health, and a very, very large sense of well-being. And that comes from that place way above the world of magic and miracles, where the energy just takes over whenever you mention it. As we go further, we will take on tasks that we've never thought of before. We will change the feeling in another part of the world because it's part of us, and we'll feel that part of us has a discomfort and we'll just fix it. And we won't even communicate at a level that we know about. We'll communicate at the level we're supposed to communicate at. And that's one of knowing, of feeling, instant recognition, precision that you would not believe. But we have to get used to talking to one another in the language we have now to convince ourselves that we can do that we do hear things, feel things, and know things that we're not supposed to know. And I think that's about the size of the task right now, getting used to the fact that everything is perfect. We are phenomenal beings. We can hear, see, smell through channels that we've never even thought of. We can cut someone out of a crowd of millions and get a smile from them. We can set up dimensions so that only we can hear one another and other people have no idea, yet they're right next to us. We can make or break any form of communication anywhere at any time. And to top it all off, we are master healers, but we don't have a method. It just happens because that's what we are. So if you allow your field to expand without having restrictions on it, and a signal comes that somebody needs to be healed, you'll feel it and you'll heal them in a second. And you're not looking for a pat on the back or a check in the mail. All that will change. be many arguments of why it should go a certain way to satisfy a line of thought. But by the time you start to even gather a thought, the job's over. It's instantaneous. Everything about us is instantaneous. And of particular note is the fact that a female can heal both the past, present, and the future, all in one go. Because that's what their job is. They are the only ones who can heal in both directions forever, in an instant. And you see it happen many times. You might shake your head and say, well, I don't know anything about that. And the answer is, no, you don't. It's just that part of the species can do that. Otherwise, how would you look after family? How would you make sure they're okay? And it's not just the family behind you, it's a family in front of you as well. Each one of us is so different, we cannot put a label on it. But I just wanted to say, there's one little area that you can stretch out and test. And I'm sure everybody would love to be able to heal everything and everybody at the same time. So once you see that possibility, you don't try to do it. You just smile, throw a few sparkles around and go above it. And find the distance where it starts to pulse. Find the distance where that section between you and the world of magic and miracles starts to pulse and have a life and be alive. And the energy will just go straight through you and off to everywhere. Because that's one of the parts of the mystery of the universe, of how the fields interact and produce something much bigger than the individual fields. This is why we can prove that we have more energy available to each person than it takes to light up a whole city. In the future, we'll venture towards trying to pick a few things that we can play with and see if you can get a signal, a response that satisfies that one little thing inside you that says, oh, I don't know. Once that I don't know disappears, everything flows beautifully, because you don't have to prove anything after that. One incident that you probably wouldn't see is all you need. So as we speak about them, as we realize, well, I was just about to call you on the phone and you called me. It's more than a coincidence. It is your personal attribute that allows you to work extremely well in this world. The more we expose, the greater it will be. But what you don't need is an explanation or a method or a hand in the air saying, I can do this. You need to be able to say, this happened to me yesterday. It probably will never happen again. It'll be better next time. So as the energy fields move out now, they'll be much more pronounced, not severe, pronounced, so that each person will pick up a little signal of some sort that starts their system. So the feeling of someone being a catalyst will grow amongst all of us, such that as soon as you see someone, you will light up if you weren't lit up already. So that you will see a great future as soon as you see someone with that special glow standing in front of you or in a crowd. To the extent where you will look for that all the time, where you will look for that sense of recognition of a person, a thing, an event that makes you jump and say, yes, everything's going well. The universe has a way of doing this. It also has a way of making sure that you're aware that you're in the world of your creator and that you have magic and miracles at your fingertips, and that that's where you came from. And you're now moving ahead of that again to achieve what used to be impossible with ease and a magnificence that none of us ever dreamt of. Even in our dream state, we will be able to lift above those dreams that seem to trap us sometimes. Because there's a part of us that is alive and awake, even when we are asleep. But it needs to be able to have that recognition so that it can suddenly jump into action and take you back to the highest place you can ever imagine being. And your spirit will become your greatest friend, because it's the only thing that can go through anything, doesn't take any notice of time, doesn't take any notice of possible or impossible, and always succeeds. That is the greatest thing for everybody, to follow their spirit, soar out of this world and into other worlds, play jokes on yourself, laugh, have fun, and above all, celebrate. To make sure everything that's happened to you is already written in the history books as achieved. Then you'll stop going around in circles and you won't have to do things until you prove it to someone else. As soon as you celebrate what's happened to you, it's already in the archives. And you can look forward to something new, something exciting, and something from out of nowhere in the very next moment. So we have cleared the way to actually running with the tide, but at a level where our special energies and field interactions can be controlled by the unique being that we represent. Know nothing, expect nothing, and enjoy it all. As we go, the only thing that drives us really is the fact that we can have a perfect life, perfect health, and an above magic future. Enjoy your life. Thank you.